Let me see here. Now, y'all let me know if y'all could hear me because I got me a new microphone on here. Got me a new little microphone. Might not be too loud, but trying this out. So this really a test shoot because I got this question in the comments and I'm supposed to shoot a video on it. And I got a coach in 2 hours. So I wanted to get on here and just shoot live just because when I shoot it on my phone and then it take me time to upload it, then it take time for it to get all rendered and get ready. So I had taken get this thing together. So when I go live, it just can go right up. And YouTube, my YouTube been tripping a little bit just because of the fact that some of the stuff I be talking about when you talking on relationships, it gets real, and relationship talk can kind of go into the space of therapy talk and different little buzzwords that people are using. And sometimes it'll kind of throw my little system off. But I got a video on this, and I think the reason why some people probably miss this video is because it says something like 5 things not to tell a man or something to that effect, where it's talking about, and I'm talking about in the beginning of a relationship, but some people misunderstood that and they think that I'm talking about like what not to tell a man ever. And so two people asked this question yesterday, and it was the same question in a different way, and it was basically like how to tell a man about your past, and like what not to tell a man, which is kind of the same thing. And somebody asked about like if you were once a Jezebel and you want to change your life, how does that look? And it's a lot of us that was a Jezebel. And so that's something you got to think about. But what I want you to realize about men is that we are not forgiving as God is. And a man by nature is a hunter. He's a warrior. So one of the things that mindset does is that mindset, it seeks an advantage. That mindset wants intel. And if a man can get intel, now he knows exactly what to give you. And what a lot of women don't understand is that with humans, you can't expect a lot from humans. When you look historically and you look at great books like the Bible, you'll see where God's own chosen people, the children of Israel, where there were times he had to turn his back on them. And this is like his chosen people who, hey, you can have the reign of the world, you can have success, you can have money. Y'all gotta forgive me, my wife text me. You can have favor, and they got outside of the will of God, and God had to turn his back on them. So when we are dealing with humans, you can't ever expect too much from a human. One thing that you can expect is for humans to be human. And what that means is you're going to be disappointed. But the issue is, and I seen a young lady, she went viral, with this particular message, what I teach on all the time. And it was like, it was crazy because she did a video. I seen this video where this lady was like, hey, y'all ladies, y'all getting played because y'all telling too much. And it went viral. And it was profound. And Shout out to the young lady who already done wrote up my book, What Daddy Never Told His Little Girl, and emailed it to me free of charge. God bless you. And sorry to those of y'all who wanted that $1,000, but I guess the Lord had better for me. But I think I talk about it in that book as well, that I wrote when I was 22 years old. I'm 40 years old now. And so the game really doesn't change. And the reason why I'm giving you this game is because all is fair. Like what you hear when people say all is fair in love and war, that's real. And it's so often what women misunderstand is that you dealing with a human, and humans are flawed. And you can't ever go into a relationship and be dealing with a man and treating the man like he's your therapist. And that is a huge mistake, because you got to think about it. Even with a therapist, I think I just seen somebody sent this post to me where it was a man, a male therapist. He started, I think he was sleeping with his client, and then took her life when she told him she was no longer going to be with him. So if a real therapist, a licensed therapist can do this, then how much more will a man who is looking for an advantage? And I remember I always say that my purpose in relationships is to level the playing field, because I've always seen life in a way of men winning and women suffering. That's what I've always seen. I've always noticed that a single mother is suffering. And what I mean by that is she didn't lie down to have the baby alone, to get pregnant by herself, but now she got up and she has to stand alone. And to me, that's a loss. Even when she makes the best of it, it's a loss, because if she knew she was going to be alone, and if she knew that the man was going to bail on her, and that he wasn't going to bear down and work it out with her so that they could raise their child together, then 9.9 out of 10 women who are single mothers would have not gotten pregnant. And that's the thing that women are doing wrong, is you treating a man like he God. Now the Bible says in Ephesians 5, wives submit unto your husbands as unto the Lord. But a boyfriend is not your husband. And so when you go to a man and you tell him all about your trauma, you tell him what happened to you at the hands of another man, you tell him what happened to you as a child, you tell him what happened to you as a young adult, and you tell him how many men you've been intimate with. Now you've just painted a picture. You've written a script. And so he knows what character, what role to play. And when you give him that much ammunition and you don't even know him, he'll use that against you. And one of the things that you found when you are a woman or you talk to women, you'll hear women say how they told a man something, and then in an argument, he threw it in her face. So the woman will tell a man, hey, my dad did this to me. And then they get in a relationship. They a little bit in, not even a year, they get into an argument, and the man takes and says, that's why your daddy didn't even love you. That's why your daddy ain't want you. That you always, or if something else happened, like in college, a woman tell a man about what happened to her where she was violated, and the man take and throw it in her face. That's why you was violated, because of how you dress. You always been like this. You always been a HO. That's why that happened to you. And what they call victim blaming. But now here it is. You take as a woman and you give another human your trauma. You give and you put your trauma on him, and you call it, oh, I'm just trying to be honest. I just want to be open and honest. But what does the Bible say? cast your cares upon the Lord. You don't cast your cares. That means your concerns, your worries, what's on your mind. You cast that upon the Lord. You don't tell a human being who cannot heal you, who cannot help you. They don't need to know everything you done been through in your life. If you want to share that, then you go sit with a therapist and you share your trauma and you work through your trauma and you heal. It's not the place of a man to heal a woman. Now, and what I mean by that is, I do believe, and I say this all the time, if you want to have a woman's heart, you got to help heal her heart. So that's in a perfect world. That's for men who they walk in the way that I'm walking, and we thinking like that. But when you go out and just to the everyday world, a man is not going to feel it's his place to help a woman heal. Just like a lot of women don't feel it's her place to help a man heal. That's what therapy is for. That's what life coaching is for. So when you go to this professional and you take your trauma to a professional, and if you want to say, hey, I was lost, I was sleeping around, I slept with 50 people, 100 people, 1,000 people. When you're talking to a professional, you're going to notice even that professional is shocked. And the professional done heard a lot of stuff. But you can make a counselor cry, and that's their job. You could shock a clinician. So you never take your trauma to a man and vice versa. And you seen the clip that went viral of Shaquille O'Neal saying the same thing for men. He was like, don't tell a woman nothing, because when you get in an argument, she'll use it against you. So it is something that goes both ways, but it depends on who you're giving it to. So if you're giving your business to a toxic person, which you don't really know if somebody's toxic when you just meeting them and you dating them, sometimes toxicity doesn't show up until year 2. So you have to realize and understand that you have to be mindful about what you're sharing. And it's okay to talk, but you really want to talk here and now, and you want to talk future. Now, one of the things that I notice a lot of women try to do is they want to explain their lack of healing. So let's say a woman gets in a relationship and she's not very sexual, or she's not very affectionate. So she will have a story that goes with that. And that story may be some past trauma or some childhood trauma. And it may be like, hey, I just want you to know that I was such and such at a young age, and that's why I'm not expressive like this. And all the man here is an excuse, because what he hears is, okay, that's your business and that's your problem. You need to go get therapy, and you need to show up in a relationship healed. And you don't need to show up in a relationship until you healed. And now, if you notice, that's the same sentiment that women share when we talk about a man having to learn how to love and a woman having to show a man like how she wants to be loved, and basically teach a man how to love. You remember Music Soul Child song, Teach Me How to Love. But when a man says that, you will see women say, I ain't teaching you nothing. You grown. You're not a child. I'm not finna raise no grown man. And you need to learn how to love on your own. And so that's relationships. And the reason being is because humans are selfish. Humans are selfish and humans are greedy. So when we go into a relationship, we want everything, but we don't really want to give much. Or we want to be accepted, and we want to be received, and we want to be understood, but we don't offer the same grace. And if you notice it when you study humans, you'll start to notice and realize where you'll notice and realize you'll notice and realize where people will expect grace but not give grace. And so therefore, one thing that I want you to understand is that, and I've seen this, and I don't know if you're a psychologist or if you study humans, but when you study humans, someone who is perceivably honest, when given the opportunity to be dishonest, 9 out of 10 humans will be dishonest. And if you don't believe me, try it. Like, you could try it with your child. You could try it with your coworker. Like, just try it. Like, sit, leave $20. Like, walk through the hall, or leave $20 on your work desk all day. See if it still be there. You got a house cleaner or somebody, leave $20. Oftentimes, when even so-called good people, when given the opportunity to take advantage, they will. One misconception that I notice with women is a good man would never. A man of God would never. Yes, he will. He absolutely will. Because in that opportunity, if you tell a man that your ex put hands on you and y'all was together for 5 years, and then he go to acting inquisitive. Really? Wow. So you went through that? So how many times he put hands on you? Well, I lost count. It happened a lot. I lost count. Well, what made you leave? Well, one time my daughter seen it, and that was the last straw. That was the straw that broke the camel back. So after that, I was done. So now what you just told him is you just gave him a blueprint, because you just told him somebody put hands on you and you didn't leave right away. So now he knows that if you done had hands put on you and you didn't leave right away, now he knows he could cuss you out. He could call you the B word, call you out your name. Now he knows he could yell at you. Now he know, and so what an average man will do is he'll take you all the way up to the point to where he might do like this and just stop right there. Because now he knows you done already been with a man who went all the way. All he did was jump. And it scared you, it startled you, but he didn't go all the way because you told him. And the thing about it is men naturally are warriors and hunters. So that little casual conversation that you having, and it's a lot of women who will go to key and want to admit to a one-night stand. That one-night stand you got to take to your grave. One-night stand you got to take to your grave. A threesome, you got to take it to your grave. Being violated, you got to take it to your grave. Anything that shows vulnerability, weakness, insecurity, it will be exploited. And it will be, I remember when the relationship coach who swole buddy, the guy who, the guys who don't really watch my videos, they'll come on here and be like, oh, he just like such and such, because they don't watch my videos, and they'll see me explaining something in relationships and think that I'm simping or pandering, and so they'll lump me in with buddy. Well, swole buddy, who got caught cheating on his wife, I remember when I was teaching women not to tell a man out the gate that you are a virgin or that you are abstaining until marriage. He was teaching women to tell a man up front that you are abstaining until marriage. And I tried to tell women, because it was women coming on my page and they was watching that video where I'm saying, listen, don't show your hand too early. You don't do that with no man. And I tried to tell women, I say, listen, you can't even trust us that's giving away the game, because most men that's giving away the game online, they're doing it for money and they're not giving the whole game. They giving like 80%. Some will give 95% of the game, but that 5% will cost you everything. But see, me, I had not been like him. I could tell that he was like what Mike Epps said on the movie, Bevo Lottie. He got more head than he got body. And so I could tell that how swole he was with all them muscles, and he had a little head. So I say his head is not big enough for his body. So when he was growing up, but he got the muscles because he had a big head. But now his muscles is bigger than his head. So I said when he was growing up, he looked like a balloon on a string. And women did not want him. And so he didn't have the run of the litter. Like he ain't had a pick. He ain't get to just slang. He had to get money to get women. He had to get money and get a Lamborghini, get a Rolls Royce to get women. But he ain't have women clamoring and jumping on him before he started to build a brand. So when game recognized game. So and when I hear a man tell a woman, tell me everything, tell me all your business up front, because I don't want to be with no woman who she hiding stuff. Every single man on the face of this planet is hiding stuff. There are things that we have done as men that we won't even confess it to God, because we already know he done seen it. But a man gonna take stuff to the grave. A man not finna tell all his business. I heard the stat that said the average woman speaks 25,000 words a day, and the average man speaks 10,000 words a day. So what that lets you know is that a woman talk 2.5 times the amount a man talk. And I could testify to that. Because when I get on a coaching call, sometimes I'm on a coaching call with women, and the call is 1 hour, and they will talk 45 to 55 minutes nonstop. And I'm sitting there listening. And then when they stop talking, I say, well, you're going to have to book another session, because this is a 1 hour session and you just talk 55 minutes. So I ain't going to be able to address 55 minutes worth of storyline. So I can attest to that. When I'm talking to my wife, she's not really all out there talkative person, but I can't get a word in. She tell me about her day, and she will talk nonstop for an hour, 2 hours. All I get to do is ad-lib. Yeah. What? Really? Oh, yeah. Yeah. So that's what y'all are doing. Women go on a date with a man and tell everything. I mean, read your whole playbook. But what you got to realize is a man is a warrior. A man is a hunter. A man is a coach. A man is, he's a gamer. He's a competitor. So when you sit down on a date and you read him your playbook, he feeling like, oh, okay. All right. For one, she not my wife because she talk too much. 2, she got too much going on. I'm not no therapist. And if I am a therapist, I ain't her therapist. I'm not finna be no therapist for the rest of her life. So, okay. 3, all right, what she good for is easy, or some money, or some credit, or a cosign. So when you sit down and you run off at the mouth, the man does not fall in love. He does not feel any affection. He does not feel any sympathy, because men ain't like that. Men ain't like that. It take a man years before the average man. A lot of time when a man fall in love with his child, like when as soon as his baby born, he in love. A lot of times that comes from his own trauma. If he didn't have a father growing up, if he was abandoned. But if you notice, if you study humans and you talk to women, you will notice that there are a million women who have a child and the father of the child don't even check on the child. And when he do check on the child, he checking in line. Hey, I'm gonna come see you and never show up. And he run in and out. So you can't just look at that and just ignore that. That shows you how a man's heart is wired. And this ain't just deadbeats. Like this everyday men. It's everyday men who don't have a relationship with their child, who don't cry over their child, who won't cry for their child, who won't sacrifice for their child, who won't be consistent with their child. And I see it every day. To the point that the rappers now, some of the rappers even saying, I don't mess with my homeboys if they don't take care of their kids. I don't want you around me if you don't take care of your kid, because that tell me what kind of man you are. Even the rappers saying that now. And a lot of them come from nothing, come from broken homes. And they saying take care of your kids. But it's a lot of men that don't take care of their kids. It's a lot of men that will quit their job to not have to pay child support. There's a lot of men that will make money and not send their child a dime, not realizing that that's just a child. And they taking out their anger and they hate and their frustration for the child's mother. They taking that out on the child. And not even to the point that they won't send the mother money, but they won't even just figure out the child's shoe size and clothes size and just mail shoes and clothes with no receipt, without the store being known. So that way, if the mom is crooked and she will just take it and get the cash, that she can't even do that. They won't even do that. So you have to study this and realize how a man is built, because it's a lot of women go into a man and you think you're going to a savior. You think you're going to the Son of God, like Jesus Christ. You're not. So when you go and you give him a whole book worth of therapy session, he's just going to use that against you. And the only time a man won't use that against you is after he fall in love with you. And a lot of times women say, well, if I don't tell him up front and he happened to find out later, he's going to leave me. Men have attachment issues. A man is far more attached than a woman. That's why you notice it's more men taking the life of a woman than it is women taking the life of a man. That's why you notice it's far more single women than there is single men. Men have attachment issues. So even a single man typically keeps a woman. And if it's not a woman he could sleep with, then it's his mother or his sister. But a man, 9 out of 10 men will always have the helping hand of a mother. Let me give you an example. I just was watching the Olympics. Here you have a grown man in Kevin Durant. But Kevin Durant is not married, nor does he have children. But every time you see Kevin Durant, who do you see? His mother. As a grown man in his mid-30s, everywhere he goes, his mom is the seat next to him. To write down, I used to work with an NBA team as the team life coach. We had another player who, because I know him personally and work with the team, I'll keep it confidentially. Same thing. In his 30s, never married and no kids. His mom would be the only mom that would get on the team plane. When we got on the team jet to fly to another city for a game, his mom would be on the plane. So what you have to realize is you can't be afraid of a man leaving you. A man ain't finna leave you. A man not finna leave you when he fall in love with you. So if you wait until you really have a bond with a man and you really trust a man and you could tell he loves you because of his sacrifice and what he's showing, and then you start to express some of your experiences that you've had in life, he's not going to say, oh, I'm finna leave you because you didn't tell me on our first date that you was violated in college. He's going to say, wow, okay, wow, that's something. Like, why didn't you tell me that? And then you say, because I didn't know you. Like, I didn't trust you. Like, I had to get to know you. We had to create a safe space. Any man who don't understand that, he's not worth being with. He's an idiot. He's an imbecile. And you got to get your person, get up and leave. If he get mad at you for having a guard up and for protecting yourself, and you've seen this happen. You've seen this happen even in grade school. You've seen this happen even in grade school. A girl go to a guy and they start dating. They date for about a month. But in that month, she done told him who all she kissed, who she done slept with. Don't even know the boy. He done with her. And now her business all in the streets. She thought it was safe to tell him that she hadn't had chlamydia before, hadn't had gonorrhea before, hadn't had trick before. Didn't even know the man. Now, business in the streets. So that's why you have to be mindful of your healing. And that's why I talk about the 3 B's: brains, brand, body. Get yourself in order and don't go to a man like a doctor. And so when you work on you and you heal, you're going to attract differently. So men that's not on your level, they're going to be turned off. Like you're going to be too healed for them. Because see, a man who is a toxic man and a man who doesn't want to do right, that man is not going to stick around. Because if he noticed that you have present conversation, but not past conversation, and he noticed that you got your game sold up. So if a man say, well, how many men have you slept with? And you say, how many women have you slept with? And he say 5. And you say, oh, that's interesting. So you just tell people your business like that? Or you just offering that information thinking that you're going to get information out of me? Oh, I'm just talking. I'm just trying to get to know you. I just want to know you. Well, get to know me. This ain't a job interview, so I didn't bring my resume. So when your game sold up with a man and you could be direct, one thing about a real man, he's going to respect it. He's going to appreciate it. And he's going to say, okay, I got to come correct. Like I can't just run over her. An insecure man who wants dominance, who doesn't understand what submission means, he's going to want you to tell him everything. And he's going to lie to you, and he's going to give you a lie so he could get your truth. And the thing about it is that a lot of men will not admit, and they won't admit it because they never really had experiences with women, like a plethora of experiences with women. They was raised by movies, and they was raised by Arnos, the P word, the nasty movies. And so they don't really know women. They just know viral clips online. They don't really they don't understand how truthful the average woman is. And a woman who is not truthful, as a man, we could instantly tell it because we are wired to read people. Because you can't be built for war if you can't assess a threat. If you can't tell when you're in danger, you can't be built for war. And a man is built for that. So what a lot of men don't realize, if a woman is not being truthful, then it's easy to tell. But men will assume every woman is a liar and not really realize that majority of women will tell you their business and tell you too much of their business to the point you could use it against them. And that's why I make these videos, because what happens is women assume that a man is just like a woman. And so a woman will say, oh, I can handle his truth and I can handle his body count. I can handle his childhood trauma. I can handle those things. And then a woman will give that to a man, not realizing that a man is not a nurturer. If you notice, when you're dealing with men, most men are kind of cold. If a man is like a nurturer and a caresser and a confidant and a safe space, it's typically your gay best friend. But a man who has not tapped that deep into his feminine, he may not be as expressive. He may not be as comforting. You may feel like you just laid your heart on concrete versus on a pillow. And you have to be mindful of that. So just because a woman would go about a relationship a certain way, she cannot assume that a man will go about it the same way, because a man and a woman are completely different. So you have to learn the opposite gender and how they assess life and situations and love and relationships. And you have to study the individual, because it's not a one size fits all. You can't paint with a broad stroke. You have to be able to assess the individual, because the makeup of a man is his history plus his biography. So therefore, a man from the suburbs may be different than a man from the projects. A man from a two-parent household with his biological parents may be different than a man from a two-parent household where he was adopted. A man who was raised by his grandmother may be different than a man who was raised by his mother. So you have to assess the individual and you have to learn his history and his biography, because what you will realize is it's safer for a man to talk than it is for a woman to talk. And the reason being is because a man is built for confrontation. He's built for warfare. So a man can tell his business and still feel safe and still feel protected, because he knows what he just gave you and he knows what he has armed you with. And he won't base his entire life off of a woman's opinion. And he also knows that a woman is meant to carry, that a woman is a receiver and she is a nurturer, that a woman carries the load, the burden of others along with her own. He knows that because he was raised by women. So, whereas not every woman was raised by men, but every man was raised by women. Even if he come up with his daddy mama was there for him more than his daddy was, or his daddy's sister was there for him more than his daddy was. So men understand women on a whole different level than women understand men, because it's the women who are the village caretakers. So women are raised by women and men are raised by women. So men have a unique advantage because we get to study the female mind, how a woman thinks, how a woman moves. And one thing that we've learned about women is that women are forever forgiving. One thing we know about women is that you very rarely will meet a woman who is a one and done, to where You hurt her once and she is completely done with you forever. Every woman, no matter how beautiful she is, how smart she is, how successful she is, gives second chances. Men know that. So therefore, a man is safer telling his business than a woman is telling her business. Now, how many women have you met that have cheated, physically cheated on a man, and the man stayed? You could count on one hand. Now, if you go and you poll women, how many women have been cheated on by their man and they stayed? You're going to need your hands, your fingers, your toes. You're going to need the hairs, every strand on your head, because it is customary for a woman to be cheated on and to stay. Men know that. Men know that. But you cheat on a man, for one, you lucky to live. If he lets you live and he stay, he might go catch AIDS on purpose just to bring it back to you. God forgives. Men don't. So you got to understand who you're dealing with. And when I say this, I'm not speaking of every single man in the world. There are some overweight men who have been cheated on and they have stayed. And there are some white men who have cheated on and been stayed. And there are some gay men who have been cheated on and have been stayed. A man of color, you're going to be hard pressed. And when I say color, I mean andropper melanin, andropper pigmentation. He could be Mexican, Puerto Rico, black and white, anything. I have seen white men get cheated on and stayed. And that's why a lot of sisters want them a white man now, because white men to be more gentle, because they wired for marriage. They really don't care about the minutia of a relationship. They think about economic stability. Whereas a black man would rather be alone and broke than to be with a woman who lie and cheat. So you're not going to find that. So you have to understand that it's safer for a man to tell his business. And what women don't realize is the more you let a man talk, the more he falls in love. That's one of the biggest mistakes that women make on the first date, is they do all the talking. The reason why Oprah is because she shut up and listen. When you look at Oprah interviews, she gonna ask you an open-ended question, and she gonna put that face on that hand, and she gonna listen. That's how you have to be in the courting stages with a man. Because one thing about men, we know how to lie, but we need a safe space to tell the truth. So a man gonna tell you his business, and he gonna put a little sauce on it now. He gonna put a little sauce on it. If a man never took a life, he gonna tell you he done came close to taking a life. If he got a 600 credit score, he gonna tell you he got a 780. If he got one car, he gonna tell you he got 3 cars, but he about to sell 2 of them tomorrow. He gonna put some sauce on it now, a little bit of ragu. And so you have to understand that, but you got to listen to him. And me being a man, I listen to men talk. And the more I listen to a man talk, the more the numbers don't remain the same. So the day he made this much, he done made this much. The next time I talk to him, he done made this much in the same year. So, okay. So one thing you're going to learn about men now, if our mouth moving, we're going to have some lies in there. We're going to have a few lies in there. And it might not be malicious lies. It may be exaggerations. And so you got to learn, as a woman, you got to learn to listen. So the reason why our relationships is so weak is because women come in and you are the weaker vessel. according to the Holy Bible. The woman is the weaker vessel. So if the woman is the weaker vessel, according to the Holy Bible, and then you come in and you do all of the talking, now you just have assumed the weakest position in the relationship. So not only are you the weaker vessel, but you also have assumed the weakest position in the relationship because you did all the talking. The person who says the least has the most power. And the reason why that person has the most power is because they have the most knowledge. Because the more you know and the more you understand, the better of a position you're in. So if you go out on a date with a man, if a woman is on a date with a man and she gives him the space to talk, for one, he's gonna fall in love because his whole life he's been told to shut up. His whole life he's been told, suck it up. Nobody cares. Big boys don't cry. So when a woman gives a man the space to be vulnerable, he falls in love. The definition of vulnerable is open for attack, open to attack. So vulnerability is not a space that a man who is wired for war is comfortable in. So if a man drops his guard enough to get comfortable with a woman and he opens up, that means he's falling in love. That's how Samson got his hair cut off. And when you read the Bible is very male centered. So as you're reading through the Old Testament, and I challenge you to do this, you see more negative examples of women than you do men. Now you see Cain and Abel, and you see men cheating or whatnot, but when you see like the Delilah and then even like Rachel and Leah lying to their dad, and Eve, eating from the forbidden tree. And so you see Eve doing this, and then you see Sarah telling Abraham to go sleep with the handmaid, then the handmaid get pregnant, then she get jealous of the handmaid and say she got to go. And it's like, you the one told the man to sleep with the woman. Then you see Rachel and Leah steal from their daddy, then the daddy catch up to him looking for his stuff, and she say, Dad, I can't get down off the donkey, I'm gonna period on. She lying. And so then you see Delilah. So, and then you see Ruth. You got Ruth in there, and you got Esther. And it might be you got Mary. And it might be one or two others. So it's not a lot of positive light. So even with that, and I remember because I was studying my Bible, I'm reading the Old Testament. I called my daddy. I'm like, Daddy, man, this Bible sure making women look bad, because I just keep reading negative example after negative example about a woman. Like, I'm trying, but yet the Bible said, a man who finds a wife finds a good thing, receive favor from the Lord. I can't tell. And so that's what you have to realize. And with the red pill community, with the MGTOW community, they come over here when I'm doing these videos, because one thing about grown boys and simps is they understand what a grown man is. They know to live this life takes strength and it takes confidence. And so they project and they call real men simps, but not realizing that they're the simp because they watching porn and they got OnlyFans. That's simp behavior. I've never sat down and watched a porn. I've never had an OnlyFans account. I've never had a Pornhub account. Ever. Ever. You see how I'm not even blinking when I'm looking at you? Ever. Because that's not how a real man moves. A real man able to go out and approach a woman. I've never done online dating. Don't be in the DMs shooting shots. That's not how a real man moves. So that's why you see so much projection from weak men who are porn babies, and they paying women. A real man will never pay a woman to sleep with him. That's a grown boy. That's a scared little boy. A real man will never want a woman to shoot her shot at him. A real man will not sleep with a stripper or a prostitute. That is grown boy behavior. It's weak and scared behavior. It's, I'm scared of the world, so let me hire a woman to buy a perceivably safe space to share my body with a stranger for pay. And I'm paying for confidentiality and security. That's a insecure, weak behavior from a male. But see, a grown man can share the truth and tell the truth and be open and be honest and be transparent because he's not operating from insecurity and fear. But what happens is when a man doesn't have a strong father in his life and his mother is not strong either because she's living in her trauma, then that man grows up afraid. And when you are afraid, you get on the defense, meaning you're defensive. And then being defensive, it also puts you on the attack. And so you want to project and you want to go at people and you want to call real men simps and you get mad about your insecurities being exposed because you know a man is built for war, a man is built for confrontation, but you're not cut from that cloth as a man. And being that you're not cut from that cloth, you go into the state of a punk, for lack of a better term, not being derogatory, and the state of a simp, because you don't understand what a simp is. And so you think that a man who wants a level playing field with a woman is a weak man. Only a weak man wants an advantage. Only a weak man in a relationship with somebody that he's supposed to be teammates with. It is counterintuitive to lie down with somebody and make her your enemy. Make her your opposition. Because you slide on your opposition. You go on a mission versus your opposition. You don't lie next to your opposition. So if a man is lying to a woman, deceiving a woman, manipulating a woman, controlling a woman, and rendering a woman helpless and putting her in a weak position and stoking her fears and feeding, probing her insecurities, that is a weak man. And because we are physically stronger as men, we will utilize emotional warfare because we also know we can back it up with physical warfare. But if a grown boy can destroy a woman emotionally and spiritually and mentally, then he never has to be physical, because she will be like the gnat, the flea in the jar that was trying to get out. And from hitting her head so many times, she stopped trying to get out. And so even when the lid is removed, she never tries to get out again. She will be like the dog who has been walked on a leash and trained on a leash, and now that the leash has removed, still keeps the same distance. That's psychological warfare. And that's what a grown boy who is not a man, who is weak and who is afraid. And typically, and this is what fathers don't understand, and this is why I'm in my son's life. And I'm not just in their life on the phone, I'm in their life in the house. So my two kids that I have, The only 2 kids I have in the world live with me. And it don't matter if my wife get on my nerves or what she do, then I'm gonna be in the house with them. Even if she did something crazy and I had to get sole custody, I'm gonna fight tooth and nail to raise them so that they don't have kinks in their armor, so that they understand what a real man is. And my 17-year-old, he hears the messages of weak men online. And he'll bring that up to me sometimes, the messages of weak men from the red pill community, from the MGTOW, and all of these different little communities out here of simps, of punks, of scared men. And I have to correct him and let him know, listen, son, this how you read a man. This how you read a man. When you read a man, you can't look at him for who he is with his big beard. You can't look at him for who he is in his grown man body. You can't look at him in his grown man job. You can't look at him for that. You have to look at him for who he really is. You have to look at him for, Lord just happened to let me. You have to take him back. So when you judge a man, remove his beard. That's who he is. Before he made 100,000 a year, 200,000 a year, that's who he is. Before he had a growth spurt, that's who he is. Because the personality is shaped from 0 to 7 years old. There are men who was him at 7. Had all the girls on the playground. Had kept a girlfriend. There was men who was him at 7. That right there, that type of male, he's going to have a supreme confidence because he's always been reinforced by society, by the people around him. But what we have today is we have men who are scared, but they cannot admit to fear. They weak and they scared, so they want an advantage against a woman. And they feel threatened by a real man who can tell you to play and you still can't stop it. It's like this, it's like the Larry Bird story. Larry Bird, the basketball player. And they say he was the coldest in the NBA because he'll tell you, hey, I'm finna go left and I'm finna fade away and hit this off the glass. And he will call out his move before he do it, and you still can't stop it. So see, what a lot of men today fear is a man like me, who is not afraid to tell the truth, to level the playing field so that a woman cannot be played. And it's been a blessing because of the nature of men, when we are married to a woman, our woman doesn't often, a lot of men won't let their woman listen to the teachings of another man if it's dealing with relationships. But the women who have listened to me, they know that that is an insecure man, especially if it's gonna sew him up and expose the games that he playing. And so he tells her, all of these relationship coaches, these life coaches are frauds and scammers, and they all cheating on their wife. And I guarantee you Tony Gaskin cheating on his wife. Not realizing we live in a blog and an exposed society. That's how the other life relationship coach, Swole Buddy, that's how he got exposed, because as soon as he stepped out on his wife, the women went to tell him. But if you notice, the blogs that expose him, they ain't got nothing to tell you about me. They ain't got nothing to tell you about me sleeping around on my wife. And ain't no woman that got no screenshots of me wanting to, hey, finna come over there, beat the bottom out of that thing. They ain't got none of that. And today it's men who are faithful to their wife, but they sleeping with men. So it ain't no women, it ain't no men, it ain't no dogs, it ain't no horses, because you can't put nothing past men. That got something, that got a screenshot to say, oh, I'm sleeping with Tony Gaskins. And that right there, that scares grown boys. They shake it in their boots because they're like, what part of the game can he not tell? I could tell it all. I could tell it all because I'm not playing the game. And that's why I try to tell you, you cannot trust a man who is speaking on relationships and not giving the whole game and not telling his own story and his faults and the things he's done. You can't trust it. And so what I noticed is that majority of men who is talking about relationship, they just give them about 80% of the game, because that 20% gives them room to play the women who idolize them. It gives them room to take advantage of and get over on the women who idolize them. So that's what you got to realize and understand. Okay. Y'all got to forgive him. My wife sending me pictures of our baby boy. He just got his first haircut. He's 10 years old. This is first haircut. He got him a little shape up. 10 years old, first haircut. My wife, she loved that little hair. I mean, he done had a trim, but he never had an edge. He never had clippers put to his head. That boy look good, man. School, he going to school tomorrow. Y'all got to forgive him. And so this the thing. The conviction in a man has to come from God. So only a man who is walking with God will allow you to tell him your business and he not weaponize it against you. And I'm going to tell you something. The temptation is always there. It is always there. Because to live right and to do right and to be a real man, that is a daily battle, like every day. So I have a coaching program. Most guys at my level of success, they charge like, the cheapest I done heard is $200,000 a year. The highest I done heard is $1 million for coaching with like daily access, text message, hour phone call. I got a coaching program that's $10,000 instead of $200,000 to $1 million. And in this program, it's sometimes that I talk to people and they'll be like, yeah, I have about 500,000 and, I want to invest in myself, or I got 100,000 or I got 40,000. And in that moment, I'm like, should I charge what these clowns charging? But I have to be a man of integrity. And only because I walk with God, the Lord said, nope, keep your price. And the only time your price change is when your business change. So when you hit your threshold of, you say, hey, I'm gonna work with 10 clients, and then next year I'm doing a 10% increase on my rate. So it's not based on what this man or woman just told me they got in their bank account. It's based on what I charge. I just coached a client the other day, and her spouse is paying a no-name guy that I've never heard of $34,000 a year for coaching. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. I'm one of the OGs in this space. Everybody who I assume is doing something, I know their name, never heard of buddy. Charging people $34,000. I said, wow. But that's men. Like, look at it. And I want you to understand this because a lot of times you don't think about it. Look at the gentleman Y'all got to forgive me. My oldest son text me. Son said he just gave an improv speech in front of all his friends. So he got trolled a bit. I told him, man, don't worry about getting trolled. I get trolled every day by clowns. Because when you're a real man, you don't troll nobody. When you're a real man, troll ain't in your blood. You can't. One thing y'all will notice when you go around the internet, you never see me in somebody's comments. Because I'm not a troll. The one I left a comment one time, and it was two so-called Christian men cursing on the podcast, I think it was. And I think I commented like, y'all boys need to do better or something. Or y'all boys lame for that. And I know the podcaster. But what I'm about to say is look at the gentleman out of Atlanta who had the real estate fund. First time in my life that I ever seen a black man with a real estate fund come out the mud, get a wife, do a real estate fund, get over 11,000 or 15,000 black people to invest in the real estate fund, raise millions of dollars, and literally slowly but surely could have started building generational wealth, and the man stole the money. With millions of people watching, y'all gotta forgive me, my internet be messing up sometimes. With millions of people watching, with a wife who got a name, wife got a name, wife got a brand. So it ain't even like he just making himself look bad. But that's the battle that men go through every single day. Do I be honest or do I be a lie? And that's what you got to be mindful of. And you got to stop making a man your God. You cannot put a man in the position of God. And you cannot go and tell all your business. Because you might ask a man a question and he might say, you weird for asking that question. You lame for asking that question. That's childish for asking that question. Tell you straight like that. But I talk to so many women and they be like, well, I don't know how to say it to them. Just say it to them. You're not talking to God. You're talking to a human. Just say, as men, we don't respect trepidation. We don't respect fear. We don't respect that. If you show weakness, you get taken advantage of. But at the same time, we don't respect air in the chest, meaning boisterousness. A real man knows that the realest people you meet could say what they need to say straight like this right here. Ain't got to yell, ain't got to curse, ain't got to make no threats, but could stand on standards and they're going to back it up. Ain't got to make no threats. A woman who slice a man tires, bust a man windows out, that's not a tough woman. She's not a man. She's not a woman that a man respects, loves, fears. He knows that she's an emotional slave. That he has control over her because he has control over her emotions. And that all he got to do is call the police, get her locked up, or just file an insurance claim. That's why he pay insurance every month. So what she just did is show that she doesn't love herself. That she is so destitute, so lost, so broken, so insecure that she will crash out over the behavior of a grown boy. And he knows he's a grown boy. So him being a grown boy, and then the woman stoops beneath his level. I seen the young lady, I don't know if it was a skit or if it was real, but she let a man hold her car. It was a sister. She let her man hold her car, and she said he was 2 hours late picking her up. And he had his homeboy in the car, and the car was smoked out. And she ain't yell. Now, she did get digital confidence because she was filming herself. So by her filming herself, knowing she gonna post that put a battery in her back. But she also could have been doing that for her safety. And the man probably didn't know if she was on live or if she was just recording or if she was on FaceTime with her mama or daddy, whoever. And she put him and his homeboy out her car. She ain't get irate. I don't remember her cut. She could have cussed, but she was talking calm. She was like, get out my car. Y'all get out my car. Now, if she let him hold the car the next day or the next week, then all that was for nothing. That's out the window. And a lot of times people be like, Tony, ask your wife to speak. Ask your wife to talk. That's what you don't realize. Like, the reason why my wife is married for 17 years is because she stand on standards. Like, she don't do no talking. In 17 years, my wife have walked out on me 2 times. One time in dating, she broke up with me because I showed that I was crazy. But it was only like 3 months in. And then one time in marriage, because she told me that she would not be with a drug dealer, and I went back to the streets and had got me a little work because our son was in the intensive care unit. So I went back to the streets and was trying to hustle because my OG told me she not going to care when that money come in the house. But that's when I realized my woman was not like his woman. And his woman was a nurse and like making good money, but she stayed with him as a dope boy. And I see nurses and doctors and lawyers be with dope boys. I don't have that type of wife. She stand on business. She say what she say. My wife in 17 years of marriage has never yelled at me. And I didn't give her a reason to, but she won't yell. She will show me her back walking out the door. She don't yell. She don't curse. She don't go back and forth. So when I tell her, I be like, hey, baby, people saying they want you to talk. They want you to do a video and teach or whatever. She said, no, that's lame. She be like, I'm not doing that. Like, figure it out. She like, you done gave the whole game. Like, what else is there to tell? Like, you done told them. And I'm like, okay. But it also showed me I got a real woman because a lot of men drag their woman into the spotlight to make more money. Because couples coaching and couples tours and couples books and couples podcasts make more money than a man talking on his own. But my wife, she say, I'm just going to make my little posts and do my thing, be in my world. I'm not trying to be no life coach. I'm not trying to be no speaker. I want to be a wife and a mom. And that also just speaks to how and why she live how she live. Like, she don't want to set herself up for failure. She don't want to be out here talking, and then bring spiritual warfare into her household because she running them out. And that's why you see a lot of people who go to talking, they go through a divorce. You notice that every couple who get a reality TV show, they get divorced. The only ones we done seen survive reality TV show is Real Ron and his wife. And we don't know they behind the scenes and how close they done came and if they is, and we don't know about it. But that's the only ones we done seen survive reality TV, because when you expose yourself, you open for attack. And so for me, if I tell all my business, sometimes I have a Jezebel hire me for coaching and she'll try to say she everything my wife not without saying it. but just trying to see. It's time that a Jezebel will get in proximity to me to see if I'm gonna shoot my shot. Because an average man will shoot his shot. So I have coached the most beautiful women in the world to the point that I had one pro athlete ask me to hold my phone when we was on the team bus, because I was the team life coach, and he put a bug on my phone, tapped my phone. And then when I'm coaching my clients who was high profile women, the next day he would ask me, hey, you coach such and such? I'm like, how in the world you know that? And then he want to talk to the woman. And then after meeting the woman and not being man enough for the woman, he got mad at me because I wouldn't lie for him. Because I wouldn't tell the woman and use my influence to say, yeah, be with this pro athlete because he make 30 million a year. He got mad with me. Start trying to bash my name in the industry, talk bad about me, calling the GM, calling the president, calling everything, making up lies because I wouldn't be his puppet. Guess what? He turned out to be a booty hole bandit. Sleep with men. Go both ways. That explained it all. And so the thing about it is what you got to realize is you got to be able to read a man. You got to be able to tell what kind of cloth this man cut from. Because a lot of men cut from polyester. And you have to be able to read that and tell how he built. A man who want an advantage, a man who want control, a man who want to manipulate, deceive, a man who want to gaslight and mislead, he not fit to be the head of a household. That's why a man wrote the quote. He say, your strength is in your gentleness. Because a real man gonna be gentle. He gonna be loving, and he wants to grow. He wants to evolve to the point that his woman can flourish. And the reason why I know this, because I was a punk. I was a grown boy. I was red pill, MGTOW. But I started to understand the weakness in it. And this was before it was a thing. It was before it had a name. It was before the internet. But I mean, before social media. You know, I was that man who wanted the advantage, who wanted to get over, who wanted to lie, steal, destroy, who wanted to manipulate and control. But I understand the weakness in it. And that it comes from insecurity. It comes from a lack of knowledge. It comes from brokenness or just not having knowledge of self. And so as you look out there today, you have to be careful. The men that you sit down with and that you sup with, that you want to talk to, and you got to evaluate them by his character. You got to evaluate them inside out. And you got to stop just focusing on height and abs and money. And you got to look at character. You got to focus on character. And a lot of women don't want to do that. So you got to realize that. Love Smith. Now this ain't no Q&A, but I sure appreciate you for that old blessing. And what I tell you, Love Smith, if that's your picture and not AI, you got too much breast out online. You got too much breast out. So you got to always look at your comparisons. So what I'm gonna tell you about that picture that you got right there, you don't have a real man. And the fact that you got an NFL executive that's single, that was single, meaning you was able to start dating him, that's already a red flag. So the fact that you could date a man in his 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, I mean, in his 30s, 40s, 50s, that's the first red flag that he's single. Now, yes, he got to be single for you to meet him. But one thing I'm going to tell you is that real men We're not attracted to women who let it all hang out. We're not attracted to it. So what happens is when you like that, when you got it like that, like all that breast hanging out, what it reminds a man of his favorite porn star. And that's what attracts him to you. See, as a real man, what we'll want to do, we will take and, like me, I'll give you a hoodie. I'm a Christian, but I respect the way traditional Muslim women dress. You ain't supposed to let it all hang out, because what that becomes is a calling card. So now you could have breasts, but you could wear a shirt that come up the hill and you still could see that you got breasts. You could have a shirt with a little cut, like with a little something, put a little necklace on there. You still could see your breasts. But when you got it all hanging out like that and they smunched together and they perked up like that, it say, come here, Poppy, Daddy. And so that's what you got to realize. So the first thing is as women, y'all got to understand the perception of a man. And when you understand the perception of a man, then you understand who you are attracting, what type of man you're attracting. And then when you know what type of man you're attracting, then you know what to expect from them. So what a lot of men want is they want a sexy woman so that they could bring to life what they watching on their phone or their laptop. Oh, God bless you, Angela. They want to experience that. So I could tell by your picture that you're a beautiful lady, and I guarantee you there are orange stars, nasty film stars that look just like you. Same physique, same set of cleavage. And so Buddy want to bring that to life. He want to get in there. And after he done did that about 10, 11 times, gone. And he don't want to try to change you, because then he know he can't trust you. So you got to show up. Women have to show up like a wife. I coach, so I know what you said, executive. That's the same thing. Cut from the same cloth. Worse. Because it's worse than a player. It's one thing if a player is single, it's worse for an NFL executive to be single, because he in a suit. So he represent respect, dignity, maturity. They only hire squares to be executives. They hire lames to be executives. They don't hire dogs to be executives. So if you got, but see, the thing about that type of man too, that type of man who is an NFL, who is executive in anything, 9 out of 10 times he has a porn addiction, because those type of guys was more studious and more focused and more quiet. So they had to get off with Angela. Whereas for us who was players, we was able to go do the real thing. So we didn't have to watch a film, watch movies, because we was out there in it. So those type of guys, that's why you will see a lot of these men, they getting y'all what they call exotic women. So he think you exotic. But when you, so think about this. Exotic, you don't want exotic every day. Exotic is a Ferrari. That's not an everyday driver. That's not your daily driver. Your Escalade is your daily driver. Your Toyota is your Ford is your daily driver. Your Lamborghini, your Ferrari, that's for experience. You have that for 1-2 years, and then you trade it in for another one. Exotic is sashimi. You don't eat sashimi every day. You eat sashimi once, twice a month when you ready to get a tapeworm and battle them parasites, and you need to get a detox from that parasite. That's when you hit that sashimi. But you don't eat sashimi every day. So that's what you have to understand about the mindset of a man, is you got to look at a wife and you got to look at the man that you listening to. So if you listening to a man with this mindset, you got to look at my wife. When you look at my wife, you see what men with this mindset choose. Men with this mindset don't choose women who have all their cleavage out, because it says, hey, look at me, daddy. You could have these in your mouth. Come on over here and let me slap you in the face with these. That's what it says. Whereas if you could have on a tight shirt now, and you see them sitting up there, but it leaves something to the imagination because he can't see skin. So now he have to wonder, okay, do they have a birthmark on it? What do the areola look like? Like, what color is they? Is it two-tone? He have to wonder. So now what does he have to do? He got to shoot his shot, get to know you, and he got to inquire within. He can't just go there. And Love Smith, now you got some Love Smith doing good in the, she's doing good in the recession now. Another $20 question. Yes, he graduated from an Ivy League university. Is very smart. Now see, Love Smith. You see how I told you that? And I didn't even know that. You see how I told you that executives are, excuse my French now when I say squares, but you see how I told you that? Because you could have came and said to me, well, Tony, no, he used to be a thug. Like, he out the streets and he just made it to be an NFL executive. But Ivy League is very smart. Never dated in college. You see how, I be trying to tell y'all that I know what I'm talking about. To God be the glory. But she sat there and told me what the man do. And I told her what type of man that is. And she backed it up. 37-year-old white male was previously dating a black woman. I dress conservative on dates. No, you don't dress conservative on dates if you non-conservative online. That's like saying I'm only a HO on Sunday. So you got to present how you present, because otherwise that's a switcheroo. Now you already in a relationship, so you ain't got to change your profile picture. He already chose you. But now a white man who date Asian, Love Smith, put in the chat what your race is, what your nationality. A white man who date Asian and he date black, I'm willing to bet white women don't want him. I'm willing to bet white women don't want him. But also that is a sign of a man who is addicted to nasty movies. And he started out with just the regular kind. He started out with the regular ones. Then he started watching whatever y'all be calling it, BBW, BBC. I don't know about the stuff, but I be seeing it online. He got into the Asian movies and the black movies, and he done built an affection for her. So he was with a black woman, let her go. Now he with you. You racially ambiguous. I can't tell if you Asian, if you biracial, if you Hispanic. So it's a good possibility. It's a good possibility he is tasting the rainbow. And so you got to move slowly. You got to make sure now, if you ain't slept with him, don't sleep with him. That's how you find out if a man's serious. Because one thing about a white man now, if you don't give him that Cool the bow, he'll walk you down that aisle. He will walk you down that aisle. But since you follow me and you dating the NFL executive, don't show him this video, but let him know that I'm a team life coach for pro sports teams and get me a job. Everybody can eat. I get me a job. Everybody can eat. Let the white man bring us some reparations now. Everybody can eat. So listen to me. This right here, the way that you, because he loves Smith, you look like you tell all your business. Because how you paying to put yourself out there. You got your picture on there now. You got your real name, but you tell all your business. So being that you tell all your business, you look like the type that if a man press you, you'll tell him how many men you'd have slept with. And you'll ask him not to judge you. And you'll say, you know, I just was young. I just was young and dumb. I was in college. You know, I had an HO phase, and I just was living my life. And, you know, but it's like for a while, like I didn't even count, but I just wanted to go back and just count it. And, you know, it's only like 13 men. Like, you know, and you'll be done told that. So if he know you know already slept with somebody now, then that's when he'll put in his work till he get it. And I'm gonna try to tell y'all now, the number for men is 11. The number is 11. And what I want y'all to understand by that is 11 meaning the amount of times a man sleep with a woman who that he don't love before he tired of her. So that's what you got to realize is 11. So if you start sleeping with a man and this man is not into you, but you sleeping with him, he will, because see, and the reason why I say 11, that's a number I made up, but you got to understand. Let's go through it. Missionary, cowgirl, doggy, reverse cowgirl. You see what I'm saying? Ceiling, roof. By the 11th time, he done flipped and tossed, done experienced everything. Got to go. So that's how y'all lose out. So when you get you an executive on the hook, got that good 401k, you got to keep that thing closed. Gonna walk you right on down that aisle. But see, the thing about it is, and I thank you, Love Smith. You might be new here, and it's a lot of clown men that think I pander to women and think I'm a simp and all of that, but they just never been here and watch me and realize that I tell men and women the blood raw truth. I'm not finna sit here and tell you no lies. I'm gonna tell you the truth, and that's my fault as a coach, as a life coach, is I tell too much truth. So it's women who get on the phone with me and get off the phone crying because I'm not a therapist. I'm a life coach. So I'm gonna give you the game and tell you like an IS is. And sometimes, and I tell people all the time, the truth could flatter or the truth could batter. But one thing it's gonna do, it's gonna hurt you before it help you in a lot of cases. I'm that's not the only reason. But that's one of the reasons. Now one thing you're not gonna find is a white man who don't watch porn. That's non-existent. That's a unicorn. And one thing about that is men who watch that, it creates fetishes. So, and what you missing is it ain't that he date women of color. It's that he date multiple colors. So he date a black woman and he date Asian women. And he most likely have also dated white women. And so a lot of times the root of that be exploring, escapades. This started an hour and 36 minutes ago. I got to go here in a sec. I got to coach at 23 minutes. Yeah, my coaching session start in 23 minutes. Hey, God bless you. Somebody sent me a cash out. Hey, God bless you. God bless you. Nikichi, the membership button is typically right up under the video. So when you watch the video, up under it's a little button that say join. Michelle, mymentor.life. For this week only, I discounted the sessions because it's booking into the fourth quarter. So I always do a fourth quarter blitz. So I discounted my sessions on mymentor.life for this week only. So if you miss it, you miss it. Only way I open it back up is if I have some schedule change or I get a free day that open up to where I no longer have a certain appointments or something like that. And Lady A, don't be putting them rainbows in here like that now, because that means something else. What's your thoughts on Cardi B filing for divorce again? I thought I saw something about that, but you never know with celebrities. We have to take everything we see from celebrities with a grain of salt, because you never know if it's a publicity stunt for the next album. So listen to me. I don't see no questions in here, really. I'm trying to read it. If you missed any of this, go back and watch it. The things about this right here is you can't put, like, even with these questions that y'all ask, and so this video is based on two questions I got yesterday. Two people asked the same thing, so that's why I did a live on it today. But you have to, it never could be put in a box. It always is something before it, something after it. It's a lot that goes into it. And so when we talk about the 3 B's, brains, brand, body, this is a part of the brains, getting the knowledge, because we have to be able to understand each other. And the reason why the divorce rate is even a divorce rate is because of a lack of understanding. A lot of people say, oh, it's because of 90% of divorces are filed by women, or it's because of money. Those are not the root reason. The root reason is a lack of understanding. So we go into a relationship not understanding the root word of relationship is to relate. So we don't learn how to relate with the opposite gender, and then we go get in a relationship with that gender, and then we struggle through it. And Nelson had a little the coaches, the coaching sessions on mymentor.life is discounted. Now the courses, y'all got a code for that as well for this month. And the reason why I'm doing these is because of the recession. So I know everybody's struggling because, you know, the PPPs and unemployment checks and stimulus ran out, and all the stuff you had to acquire and the new bills and that car note, that's $700 plus. I get it. And y'all do not be hesitating to let me know. What's your advice for single moms dating while maintaining life? Now, Antoinette, because I got to go in 18 minutes, I can't go too deep on that, but I do have a video, I think. You might have to search single moms dating Tony Gaskins and see if it come up. I can't snap nobody else advice on YouTube that might have a video on that. But with that right there, for the single moms, do not date, or you could date, but don't bring a man to your house if you have children under the age of 5, or if you have inaudible children, regardless of their age, or special needs children. If you have special needs children, inaudible children, any of the sort, you can't bring a man to your house until you have dated him for a year and you know him, like you really have vetted him. You got your homegirl read on him. You got a parental figure read on him. You got a spiritual person read on them, like your pastor or whoever. You got a life coach read on them, a therapist read on them. And then that's when, because the thing about it is, a lot of people do not understand. Women don't understand the power of the POR. Women don't understand the power of that. That is so strong. And that's why I never watch it. Because I understand how the mind works and I understand how addiction works. And a lot of people don't study humans. But because I grew up around addicts, I started to assess the risk of any vice and if it could be addictive. So that's the reason why I don't watch nasty movies. And what women don't understand is those nasty movies is leading men to be completely disgusting, to where you can't put nothing past a man if he watched nasty movies. You can't put nothing past him because he is a barbarian. Any man, and the same thing for a woman, it just may show up differently for a woman. It may actually make a woman want a relationship more so that a man could take care of her body. But for a man who watched the POR, he becomes a barbarian. It's absolutely disgusting. It is a disgusting state of humanity. And that's why you have to be so careful with the men of today, because majority of men watch it. And it's a trick of Satan to destroy the minds and the hearts of men, because a man is called to lead a household, to be the head of a household, to be the protector, to be the provider. He is called to be the one who is at the front line with the backing and the strength of God. But when a man gives himself to vices and he loses control, he loses the battle against the vice, he cannot be trusted. He cannot be counted on. And so every man has to commit himself to growth, to evolving as a man and developing discipline in the dark. And that right there is just not, it's not easy. Anthony, depending on when you get there, go to mymentor.life. Mymentor.life, click on hire a coach, and you'll see me right there. So go on over there. You can see my calendar. Yeah. And Love Smith, you're not going to realize that. You're not supposed to realize it, honestly, because you're not a man. So you're not going to realize that. But what you have to realize is that to white men and black men, because you look Asian, to white men and black men, all Asian looking, any woman that is the opposite of a man race is a fetish. A black man who date white women, that white woman was a fetish. A white man who date black women, that black woman was a fetish. The only reason a man date outside of his race is because of a fetish. And not in just like the literal sense, but of just like a wondering, exploration, or escapade. It's like, what is that like? Like, humans like people that's different than them. I seen the video where I seen a video of Cardi B saying that. That's why she date black men, because she want people different than her. She don't want a Hispanic man like her. I think she might be Puerto Rico. She don't want no Puerto Rico because she know that's her brother, that's her cousin, that's her uncle, whatever she is. I don't know if she Puerto Rico, Dominican, but she want a black man because that's a different culture. And she said that in the video, and she articulated it. And she's not a wordsmith. So she said it in just perfect. There was the perfect exploration. And she didn't realize that what she was saying is, I want a fetish. Like, I want something different than me. Like, I want to explore something different because I'm used to my own and what I have. And so that's what that is right there. Can you make a video on how to present yourself as a wife and as a single woman in dating? Yeah, I got some out there. I'm gonna have to do all the videos over because I guess sometimes they fall out the algorithm. You can't see them, but I done honestly, Joe Neat, I done did a video on everything, but it probably ain't have that exact title. That's the thing with my videos is you got to go back and click on oldest and watch them from the back to the front and just watch it from the start to the finish. If you got to pause it to go do something, go work, come back to it, because my videos is never just on the title, because you can't encompass God's wisdom, the flow of the Holy Spirit into a title. So I done touched on that in a million videos and touched on it today too. But sometimes I just struggle with titling the videos because I hit on so many points. Your future is now. What are some of the things to do to not feel so bad about your past? You got to believe your name, that your future is now. You got to believe that. You got to walk in that. But you also got to realize that your past is no different than anybody else's past. That whether you slept with 100 men or whether a woman is a virgin, a past is a past. Trauma is trauma. So you have to understand that everybody got a past. That a virgin might be a compulsive liar and got to change that. Might have a jealous, nasty heart, but ain't slept with nobody. Might be bitter, might be controlling, might be negative, might be needy, might be insecure, but just ain't slept with nobody. But still have a trait that could destroy a relationship. So what you got to understand is your past only has power if you give it power. If you allow yourself to believe that your past defines you, and you forget that humans can grow and humans can change. Like people always say, once a cheater, always a cheater. That's not true. Once a cheater, always a cheater if you choose to remain a cheater. But cheating takes hurdles. Like I was a cheater in every relationship. And I'm 100% faithful to my wife. So how did I become faithful? I chose. I made a decision. And I say, hey, y'all gotta forgive me. The Wi-Fi be trying to act up sometimes. Sometimes here I'm in my office, in my real office, not my home office. And so sometimes that old raggedy Spectrum. Or sometimes it just be StreamYard too, or whatever this system is. Because I got all my bars up here on the computer. So just understand that, forgive yourself. Write a letter of forgiveness to yourself and relinquish your past. Write the letter, read the letter to yourself, and read it every day and forgive yourself. And you have to realize that your past isn't your fault, because the things we do is determined by the knowledge we have. That's why the Bible says, my people perish due to a lack of knowledge. So when you don't know your value, and you don't know the body is sacred, and you don't know relationships, you don't know love, then you make ignorant decisions, and ignorant in the literal sense of the word, unknowing, like lacking knowledge. And so once you have new knowledge replaces old knowledge. Like new knowledge replaces ignorance. And so the key to changing your life is getting new knowledge. So you have to go to the sources that are teaching new knowledge, because it's always someone out there. And that's what people don't understand, because some people ignorantly say, oh, everything I need to know is in the Bible. And that is true to an extent, because the Bible is principle based. And so if you live by those principles, it will guide you. But there are certain topics that we deal with in life that we can't find that word in the Bible. So if you don't understand how to apply principles to your life, so if you're supposed to flee lasciviousness and flee youthful lust, well, because the word doesn't say flee masturbation, you will say, oh, well, masturbation isn't a sin because I can't find that word anywhere in the Bible. Well, that wasn't a part of the language. There was no need for it, because everybody got married, and a lot of marriages was arranged, and people was getting married at 13. So there was no need for masturbation. It was not a thing. But what it can be encompassed of is youthful lust. It could be encompassed when Jesus said, if a man lust in his heart. And if he's talking to a man, he also talking to a woman on that as well. So that covers, if you lust in your heart, you done committed adultery. Now that's if you marry. So that lets you know that act, if it requires you to lust, you watching the POR, or you picturing somebody, or you looking at a video or a picture, you lusting in your heart. So you're not fleeing youthful lust. So when you get this new knowledge, and that's why God raises up teachers, because some things have to be put in layman terms. It have to be very practical, because not everybody will understand the mystery, and not everybody can read. And a lot of people can read but can't read and comprehend. So that's why there are teachers who are gifted by the Holy Spirit to teach new knowledge so you can apply it. Because guess what's not in the Bible? Online dating. So God will take, in this day and age, and raise up a teacher who is rooted in his word and who understands his principles, who can teach on the modern things of today in layman terms, that is really just expounding upon biblical principles. And so it's just really all about getting new knowledge. And Jonique, back to your question now. I'm going to tell you quick and simple on this right here. The root is to know who you are and know. So, like, for example, your outfit, that's your personality. That's who you are. That represents you. That is how you present as a wife. But you got to know your root. So, whereas my other sister on here had a cleavage out, Nikita, God bless you. God bless you. Well, my other sister had her cleavage out. You don't have your cleavage out. So there's a root inspiration for y'all outfits. And so if my other sister, if she go online and she look at the Miami South Beach babes, and that's the kind of shirts they wear, and they get 100,000 likes on a post, she gonna say, oh, this is what men like. Now, if you go and you read your Bible and God say, be lowly at heart, be modest, a woman is to be seen and not be heard, and that's your root, then you're gonna say, okay, let me be modest. Let me be humble. Let me be lowly at heart. Let me be seen, not heard. Let me be, and that's your root inspiration. And so the key is to know what God calls of you as a human, male and female, and to become that. And when you become that, you don't have to adapt to society per se. And then you got to also know, now you can evolve with the times. What I mean by that is you can wear box braids instead of a flip under if box braids is in style. And that's not contrary to your belief system. It's not a sin. Now, you don't evolve and adapt to the times if what the times is saying is sin. So if the times is saying you could sleep with people and not get married, then that's sin. You don't adapt to that. But if something has nothing to do, it's not rooted in sin, like your fashion sense or your hairstyle or your job, then you can adapt. You can grow. You can change. Bella Marie, you do not have to. You do not have to. You got to know your husband. And so, and what you got to ask is, what is he going to do with this trauma? If he's a nurturer, if he's a caregiver, if he's Mr. Fix-It, if he is an empath, then he may be able to handle it. But see, some people, your trauma destroyed them because your trauma can make them feel inadequate because they don't have the answer for you. They don't have the solution for you. You ain't got the answer, Sway. And so you have to understand. That's why I say, don't just paint a whole gender with a broad stroke. You got to assess the individual because it's hard to live with our own trauma, let alone somebody else's. So that's why the Bible say, cast your cares on the Lord, not on man. It don't say cast your cares on your brother. Cast your cares, your worries, your concerns on man. It say cast your cares on the Lord. So that's what you got to understand. So, hey, y'all, if you missed any of this, get back to it. Watch it. What do you do when you've broken all the rules and need to start over? Start over. Start over. Everybody broke all the rules in one area or another. And you just got to start over. But the good thing about a past is a past is the past. And don't nobody know your past but God and the people you were dealing with. But they ain't got no microphone to tell everybody. Especially when you grow and change. When you grow and change, can't nobody say nothing. Because they're going to say, they changed. That mean I could change. Somebody just booked the session. Now, listen, when these sessions gone now, they're gone. And then when I just doing this for 1 week, it be draining me. And what you got to realize, when I get on these sessions, they is training. I'm about to do one right now. Got to go. They is draining. and I'm carrying people problems and talking to people. And my client I'm finna coach right now, long time client, might be my number one client in sessions done. But typically 90% of the clients we done in 4 sessions. That's not my thing. I'm not a therapist. Some people be like, oh, I've been in therapy 25 years. I'm gonna be tired of you. I'm finna give you the game, give you the tools, and you're gonna have to go. And if you can't implement it, then that's when I move you on to my daddy, because he got the patience. I ain't got the patience. For me, it's about how many people can I reach, how many people can I help. So I don't be, that's why I got my year-long program. And that's why it costs what it costs, because I ain't got the time. Hey, but God bless y'all. If you missed any of it, I'll come back. If Lord willing, I might be back tonight. If I get, oh no, I got soccer practice tonight with my son. God bless you. Unless I go live in the car, but I don't know. My AC done went out on my Sprinter. I got to take that thing in for service. Thing had me sweating like a nomad yesterday, walking through the Sahara. I about passed out behind the wheel. Hey, God bless you. Oh, make sure you get over wealthofhealth.com. Pre-order your elderberry gummies. They're going to be in here to my warehouse next Monday, and they getting shipped out. So a couple of y'all impatient people done wrote me, oh, I ain't got my gummies yet. Listen, that's a pre-order. But they get in next Monday and say, Lord willing, they come. Sometimes these local delivery service get your stuff and don't never deliver. I had a TV or a couch one time I ordered. Them people ain't bring. I had 2 chairs. I paid $600 a piece for them chair. Them people ain't never bring my chair. And so, Lord willing, they make it all the way here now. If not, I got their address on the tracker thing. I'm gonna be right up there to their warehouse. But hey, they getting shipped out. This first batch, I ain't got my logo bags yet. So y'all give me some time on my logo bags. I know how y'all ladies is. The ladies who ordered, you want your little card in there with a little note on it. You want a little rose in the bag. You want the bag to match the bottle, all of that. Listen, you're getting you some health and wealth. Wealthofhealth.com. Y'all make sure y'all get over there, pre-order your gummy. God bless you. And we're going to roll out the next vitamin here soon, Lord willing. And then after I get them in, then you're going to see me start promoting a little bit on social media. But this is my new supplement company I'm building. And we're going to have all the supplements. Just healthy and wealthy. God bless you. We'll talk soon. And if my client on here watching this, then you know why I'm late. Calling you right now. We'll talk soon.